you've seen so much out there, but a couple of things that we saw together, and then your recent trip you took. Tell us about what you saw. I did a travel cast on the Cameroon trip that is coming out to our listeners and our viewers in the next couple of weeks, I think. But you saw things there. You were there before me. You were there a year before me, and you knew
Hmm.
our mutual friend, and you already knew what was going on. You came back, you did it again. What do you see happening? And for those who are not familiar, as many, it turns out, Americans certainly are not, and maybe Canadians too, with Cameroon, that is West Africa, the
Yes.
opposite side of the country from Kenya, which is the one place seems like every Christian in the world knows. But there's Cameroon, a former French colony with a little British influence because they ended up picking up part of Nigeria when it got its independence. It was English. Um, it's a fascinating country. There's freedom of religion. There's some persecution, but not terrible. There's not a lot of radicalism or terror, but there's some. Uh, but I wanted you tell them about Cameroon. Tell them what you saw there because you know a lot more about it than I do.
Yeah, well, like you said, I was there, you know, earlier on, like just a year before, right? And the thing that impresses me is the people who are leading it there are people, I've been able to coach our friend in who he needs to involve, and it's amazing how God has opened the doors, and he's already doing something in Cameroon. And there were already some people that were there and just connecting some of the others. And you met some of the leaders that
Yeah,
were there.
yeah,
And they've just come together and like they're collaborating on this. Like they're already doing some work, but they're seeing, oh, there's some things that we could be working on together that would benefit the work that we're already doing. It's not like they're quitting the work that they're doing. They're still doing that, but it helps the whole ecosystem to evolve, right? And I just see the excitement that's there, and the excitement for in the country and what it could mean for the country of Cameroon as they wrestle with, well, as we all on a business and employment, and how can they, they're well educated, but there just aren't the same kinds of jobs and that we might have here in North America or other countries, right? And so they're looking and saying, well, but God's given us the creativity. We can maybe create those. We
yeah.
can be involved with God, and it's God moving in the economic space. And so they've involved these different agencies. They've involved academia. I met some amazing people from the academic and the government space. And the government's involved with it too. Like there are
Mhm.
people, so they're realizing that God's already placed people in these areas that need to be working together and need to be focused on the marketplace. But now we have a kingdom perspective that we're able to bring into all of that. So that's really what's impressed me the most, and the energy. So not only are they focusing in Cameroon, but there's a whole trading area of related countries. They call it
Mhm.
the CMAC region. Now, CMAC stands for something. I can't remember right now what it stands for, but it's about 5 or 6 countries, and they're the neighboring countries that are French-speaking countries as well, because Cameroon is mostly French and there is some English, right? But as they're going out, and as they're already going out and doing their other work, they're having some other sessions that is introducing business as mission to those other countries as well.
Yeah,
So it is both here and there, and
yeah,
and and I love the Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the outermost parts of the world. But Jerusalem, wasn't even where they lived. They came
yeah.
from Galilee, right, into Jerusalem. So they already have a kind of ascending, and there's more that we can do both here and there. And I've been talking a lot about a here and a there. Same thing in Canada. There's here in Canada, but there's also something else that can be
Yeah.
happening there too.
I'm glad you said that. I mean, so many things come to my mind, but I think about the tendency, particularly I've seen this in the US. I've seen it a little bit in Australia, a little bit in the UK, certainly in the US, where the marketplace ministry emphasis doesn't get to the their part. And that's
Mhm.
been one of my great concerns for decades now. Is I'm all for marketplace ministry, and I want you to, if this is your Jerusalem, if He's placed you in North Carolina or placed you in Ontario, fine. Start there,
Right.
but see beyond. And that's
Yes.
been my constant message to those who are supporting faith and work and integration. But look out. Like you're
Yeah.
talking about. The other thing I thought was fascinating was watching. You and I were at a pretty good sized conference. I've got the final figures, but it's
Hmm.
somewhere between 350 and 450 people were involved.
Absolutely.
It was also on national television. Government
Yeah.
officials were there. People from several different countries came. It was really a great conference. But I remember specifically, this is so encouraging. I had two different breakout sessions. One was with Cameroon, primarily Cameroonian entrepreneurs, and it was on missional capital, which is money to fund your business, right? Well, usually when I'm in a breakout like that, all I hear is gimme, 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 gimme.
Mhm.
And in this one, this group said, let's get something straight. We don't want your money. We don't want a lot of foreign money. We've got capital here. We need to learn how it works, which was
Mhm.
beautiful. They, in my mind, had leapfrogged over a decade worth of learning in the BAM world that this is not about foreign aid. This is really about primarily the resources that God has already placed there to raise up kingdom businesses for the good of the people of God there, as well as for all the citizens. So that was huge. The other was the pastors. I had a breakout with pastors, and I
Oh,
remember
yes.
sharing this with you one night in our flat that um, they came to this breakout not looking to figure out how to stop it, slow it, or control it, which is, again, a very common response because it's seen as a threat to authority, a position, or whatever. They walked right into this meeting and said, let's just start with this. We don't know business and we need help learning it so that we can support the business people in our congregation.